Hi everybody, and welcome back to Danstew Station. Yes, it's been a while. It's been 9 months since my last layouts update, layouts update number 3. A few reasons why. I don't want to go into too great detail. I've recorded this intro about 4 or 5 times now, and all I end up doing is rambling. So just quite basically and quite specifically, I've kind of lost my drive for the railway. Under no circumstances have I decided to scrap it, not a chance. I'm still very much wanting to continue building this. However, I found that I just lost my interest in it, and I think it's something that everyone goes through every once in a while, where you just feel I just can't be bothered with it at the moment, and you kind of put it on the back burner. I've been working on other projects, I've been doing other things, and I have still been buying stuff for the railway. I've got a lot of stuff to show you guys and a lot of stuff to kind of update you on. And a few things that I've built as well, so it's still going. I've just got nothing that I can show you. The layout itself is exactly as you last saw it, unfortunately. It's just kind of the little bits that are going to go with it that I can show you. However, I've got my drive back. I'm very much keen on getting back into it. I've done a lot of stuff to the layout, but as I say, it's not cosmetic or it's not scenery, it's mainly maintenance, and that's kind of one of the biggest problems I've had recently, just with the track itself. I've struggled running trains on it. I've had to take up track and lay new track, or replace scrappy bits of track with flexi track. I've had massive problems with the drawbridge, which I'll come to. I had a problem with this section where I didn't realise where it kind of bumps up like that. That's where the rail joined. So it made quite an acute angle that the trains were constantly derailing with. So I had to kind of move the track along a little bit to make sure that it flexed down over, which is a lot better. So yeah, when the trains aren't quite running quite well, you kind of lose, you get a bit frustrated with it when you're constantly picking trains up, putting it down, or cleaning the track. It gets annoying more than anything. So yeah, so that's mainly what I've been doing, but I've got it to a point now where the trains are running quite well. And the main problem I'm having is on the inclines. I've always tested the trains and they always go, well, the engines, and they always go up absolutely fine. And they have done with carriages as well, but now they're struggling. There's only one train, which is my Cornishman, which will pull 3 carriages, 3 of the lighter carriages I must say, up the inclines. The rest of them really struggle, and I think the problem is that the Cornishman has traction tyres on it and none of the others do. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. I'm going to get some traction tyres, and hopefully that helps to raise them up. I might try and put some more weight in the engines as well, and just try a few different techniques to kind of get them up, because the inclines aren't particularly that steep. They're both, well, one of them is a double, as you'll have seen before, the Woodland Scenics incline. It's not incredibly acute. It is on a bend, but it's very gradual. And the incline down here, although it's handmade, I used the Woodland Scenic one as a guide to actually have it drop down. If anything, it's a little bit more gradual than that one, and yet the trains are still struggling. I think it's just a case of they need more traction, because once you give them a little bit of a push, they're going. Wheels are spinning round. It's not that they kind of stop, it's just that they just can't get that grip to get up the track. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. Hopefully traction tyres will work, maybe a bit of weight. Any feedback that anyone has on different things that you can do to kind of help trains up an incline, I would really appreciate any feedback. That would be great. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, so we'll get into it. We'll show you a couple of things that I've been getting. One of which actually I have here. This is a little camera that I picked up from I think it was Wish, the Wish site that you keep seeing in adverts and so on. It's a Q12 camera. It's well, it's supposed to be full HD. It's not really. It's more 720, I would say, but it's still really good, and it makes really good videos. So I bought that with the intention of putting it on a carriage for trains to push, or putting it on front of trains to get kind of like a cab ride footage, whatever you want to call it. And I'll show you some footage. I've been taking some recently when I've been running the trains around, testing the track out. And I've got some really good footage with it, which I'm really pleased with. And it's a really good purchase. I got one from my dad as well for his layout, and he uses it all the time. Really, really good. So I'll show you some footage from that. So that's one of the purchases I've got. I've got lots of other stuff that I've bought, lots of other stuff that I've done. So let's get into it, and we'll see what's new. And we'll start off with a new addition to the fleet. Well, two new additions to the fleet. Thomas and Bill. Now, these are ones that my wife actually found on Facebook. Came with, I think it's 2 Annies and 1 Clarabelle. Yep, 2 Annies, 1 Clarabelle. There's 1 Annie, another Annie. Sorry, there's Clarabelle and another Annie. And yeah, my wife just happened to be looking through Facebook, just found these on there, and I think she paid the grand total of £20 for the whole lot, which was pretty amazing. I came back from work one day, she kind of said, right, watch the boys for a second, popped out, came back and gave me these trains, and I was like, that's pretty amazing, wow. And then she told me the price and I almost fell off my chair. Considering that every time I've seen Thomas, he's usually about 25 to 30 pounds, and Bill, I don't know if it was Bill or Ben, I saw the recent one, he was about 30 pounds. So I was really pleased with that. It was a really lucky find, and they both run really well. Both DC, but I plan to put chips in them at some point and make them into DCC. So yeah, it was a really good kind of purchase. And you'll remember that I said in a previous video, I'll just flash over to there, you can see there's another Thomas, and that's the one that I bought brand new from the shore, and the engine burnt on it, and I always said that I need to get him fixed, and I never quite got round to getting him fixed, but now we have another one. So I still plan to get the other one fixed, and maybe use that as a spare, or use this one as a spare, or I might even kind of build a little circular layout that my boys can play on. But yeah, always good to have another one. You'll probably seen in the background as I was showing you Thomas and Bill there, that we have the tunnel in situ here. I've also kind of made the tunnel a little bit deeper with some cardboard. What I plan to do is just fill that with paper, newspaper, and then have like the hillside dropping down there, and then to go over it. So that's kind of just the tunnel entrance, and obviously there'll be more hillside here. It'll kind of go up over that way, then drop down there, and then that will still be the campsite, which is what will be my first kind of scenery. So that's the area, the area that I'm focusing on at the moment. The inside of the tunnel is basically just cereal box, and all I've done is coat it in some black duct tape, and then I'm hoping that once everything back here will all be impacted in, the light will be blocked out, so it won't be as prominent as, I mean, obviously it looks quite shiny at the moment because the light's shining on it. Hopefully it won't be once we get in. I haven't ballasted in there as yet either. I know it's probably a good idea to ballast before I put the tunnel in, but I figure it'll be just quite easy to get in there with a spoon, get some ballast in, and the syringe I have for that is quite long, so I should be able to get into there no problem. So, famous last words, I guess. After that, there's not really much that has changed. As I said, I've been mainly working on maintenance. One of the main things you'll see is right here. I've been adding these kind of blocks just to straighten out the bridge here. As you can see, they've had to be propped up a little bit. I don't know if it was the weather or whether it was miscalculation, but I was on the floor about a couple of weeks ago, and I was just working on something else, and when I looked up the bridge you could see it bowing down, and so I put the spirit level on it, and I've straightened it all off so it's all nice and level. Kind of still has a bit of a kink in it where it joins the bridge just over here, but not so much that the trains can't go over it, so it's that's running quite well. As I say, over that section I had to move the flexi track, and the drawbridge I had to change quite a bit, which I'll come back around to. Everything else is pretty much as it was. The trains are running a lot better than they were, and you can kind of see the shine on the track, and that's because of my most recent purchase, which is this. And you're all asking me, what the heck are you showing us here? This is actually a gaugemaster track rubber. Of course, when you buy it, it actually comes in a rectangular block, but I have used this on all of the outer track, not the inner at the moment. I haven't quite used it on that, but all of the upper sort of track that I've not touched, because I found trains were not running on it at all, and it was because of some new flexi track that I'd picked up, and I cleaned it and put it on, and trains would not run on it. And it wasn't until I ran this across the track a couple of times in the same place that I realized that the track was actually really grubby. And it was one of those things where you didn't notice it because it was that grubby that the whole thing looked exactly the same, and it looked all right until you start cleaning it and you realize, wow, that's why it's not working. So I've gone around the entire layout with this, given it a good scrub, and it's worked fantastically. I heard a lot of good things about the gaugemaster track rubber, and I can only add to that. It's this track wasn't ran for ages. Trains wouldn't even start, wouldn't register. Gone round, given it a good scrub with this, they've run beautifully now, and the track looks really good. So highly recommend this. I've actually ordered another one because this one's kind of fallen to bits now. But yeah, that is definitely worth a purchase. I kind of skimmed past this a couple of seconds ago. This is my most recent build, I guess. This is from Scale Scenes, and it is the Scale Scenes Castle. It's one of the downloadable packs where you download the pictures and then you put them onto card, and you join it all together. And I just really liked the look of this castle. I thought it was beautifully made, and just looked fantastic. It took quite a bit of building, especially these kind of turrets here. They were really difficult, especially the thickness of the card and the paper and so on. So it was definitely a long process of building this, but overall, absolutely love it. It's just such a fantastic piece. Everything that I mentioned as well in this video, I'm going to put links down in the description as to where I got them from and what they are. But even for the flag there, I just kind of molded that on and then just curved it around to make it look like it's waving. And yeah, thoroughly love that. And my plan is that is going to stand exactly where it was, just here in the corner. That's the board that's going to kind of go across there, and then at that point it's going to start flattening down back over there with the castle right there. It's going to have spotlights hitting it. It's basically going to be like a heritage castle, and there's going to be people stood around it and playing around it, and then like a nice country scene over there, like leading to this, maybe like a nice walkway, something along those lines. I haven't quite decided what to do with it yet, but I was planning to maybe put a church up there, I think, before, but I think it will be a bit of a squeeze to put a church up there. But the castle just looks really, really nice, and once it's kind of pushed right into the corner where it will be, there's plenty of room around there. I think that's going to be a really nice focal point, but that was a lot of fun to make. As I mentioned before, this area here is going to be a field with tents. It's going to basically be a campsite around here, and that is definitely something that I intend to still do. I have recently purchased these. These arrived quite only a few days ago, and they are tent moulds. These are large ones. and you can also get small and medium. They're not the more modern tents that you see these days with the domes and so on, or like the one that I have. But they still look really good. I mean, the detail that you get from them with curves and so on, and then give them a paint. And it's basically put plaster of Paris inside there, and you can make as many as you want, which I do love that. So I'm looking forward to making some tents with that. The great thing is then as well, make quite a few of them and paint them up with the boys, and the boys can paint some of them as well. You'll notice as well here we have some little slides. These are Metcalfe laser kit slides, where you just kind of make them up, glue them together. It didn't take very long at all, but it was the last last exhibition that we went to, my dad and I, and my dad saw these when he was looking for his, there was a platform Metcalfe have just recently released of, name escapes me, but he was looking for that, and in doing that we found these, and I said, oh, they're pretty cool. And my dad was basically saying, how about getting one of them and putting it in the campsite scene as a little play park? And I thought that was a fantastic idea. I love that idea. So I picked it up and built it. Didn't realise you got two. So this one is probably going to go into someone's back garden or into the pub in the town scene. But yeah, it will definitely go somewhere else. On top of that, shortly after coming back from the Middlesbrough exhibition, I went out and I purchased this with the sole intention to use the swing set. So the swing set can go with the slide, and it can be a little play area. And might see as well if I can get a roundabout as well. Make it just, don't want to make it a big sort of thing. I just want to make it a little one. You know, it's a campsite that I've kind of provided a play area. It'll be quite reminiscent of the the campsite that I went to last week in Wales, where they had a little play area just off from the tents. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to replicate there. I also picked up this quite a while ago now, and it is Campfire Amber Flicker Effect. And this was from, it doesn't have the name on it, that's a shame. I can't remember the name of the guy who sold this, but there you can see there, it's basically a campfire. It does look quite effective when it's switched on, which I will show you once it's in place, so you can look forward to that. But yeah, it's going to basically have that in the middle of one of the campsites with a couple of people around it, making s'mores. Additionally, what I bought, and I bought this quite a few years ago, honestly. I've had this for a long time once I realised I wanted a campsite. And it's a peen guy, or as it called, When Nature Calls. And it works, it's really, really good. And I got this from Layouts for You. And basically when it's switched on, the little tinkle line there kind of flickers around and makes it look like he's stood there peeing, which I absolutely adored this. So my intention is to put him kind of behind the tents, just where the bushes are going to be there, and just have him peeing against the side. I'll cover that in some grass as well, and I intend as well to put some PVA just where the pee ends to make it look like the grass is wet. But I do love this, and again I'll show this working once it's in place, so there's a couple of things to look forward to. And the final thing that I've bought for this area in particular is a few bits of grass. I've got the Jarvis Countryside Scenics with some coarse grass, some light green coarse grass, and some desert sand and stone mixture, which is not easy to say apparently. My intention is that I'll cover all of this with some of the coarse grass, except for a little rectangular shape like that, which I'm going to scatter some of the light. I'm also going to put some static grass down. This is going to be basically my test area for all the different techniques. We're going to have a hillside, we're going to have the grass, we're going to have static grass, but I want one little rectangular spot where all it has is some of this light coarse green. I want it to look like somewhere where a tent has been, and where the grass gets compacted down and they've just packed up and left, and obviously you still get that imprint of where the tent has been. And I'm hoping that this light green with the more mid green, that this will give a more of an effect of kind of like grass has been trodden down and, you know, dulled with the lack of sunlight. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to do there. The desert sand and stone mixture is basically for the play area, so I'll have a little kind of like circular area where I can put these things in with this underneath to make it look like it's a bit of a sand pit for the kids to play on. So that is all the stuff that I've bought for the campsite. So as I say, I have been busy planning and purchasing over all this time. So plans are in motion. I just need to actually get it gone. And finally, what I wanted to show you was the drawbridge. I'll just drop this down and lock it into place. There we go. Now, you'll see there that actually the track has been pulled up now. What I was struggling quite a lot with is down here, where you'll have seen in my previous video where I had the track coming round, then I'd cut it so that the bridge could be just lifted and lowered, and then the track would be all in one piece. But I found that to be incredibly unreliable, especially with it being a curve, especially with it being on an incline. It was just, I think it was destined to fail, to be quite honest, which is quite a shame, but one of those things that you learn as you go along. So what I've got now instead is I've took them up, and I have these two bits of track, which they're just regular Hornby sort of two pieces of track that go around, and I'll just basically fix them into place whenever I have the trains running. Not ideal, because once they're in place, then that means really the drawbridge can't be raised. However, the boys are still quite short. They're still only, well, almost 5 and 3-year-old. So they're still quite short, and they're able to get underneath it quite well. And it is still possible. I mean, even I'm 6'6", and I can still crawl. Losing focus there, sorry. I can still crawl underneath and get out the door quite easily. So it's not amazingly impractical. It's not like really bad. It's a bit of a pain, but you know, at least it works well. Since I've done this and since I've put this into place and had them running this way, these corners have not proven a problem at all. They're absolutely fine. The main problem I've had, as I've said, is because it's an incline, so the trains kind of struggle with the going up it rather than anything else. But no derailments, no problems at all since I've gone through this for this. So a little bit more time consuming, but much better effect. And in the long run, I think it's a better sort of choice to do this. And so there we have it. As I said, not a great deal to show, not a great deal of progress at all. But I hope that will change now that I've got my passion back for it, and now that I've got so many plans that I want to do. There we go. Yeah, I'm hoping to get a lot of work done to this, most specifically the campsite scene. I definitely want to have that started building within this week. I want to start getting the cardboard down, the newspaper down, and start working on the plaster cloth. Get some ballast down, just start getting into it and start building what's in my head, and do that. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Apologies again for the massive delay in this update. I hope it was worth it, and I hope it's intrigued you enough to stick around and see what comes next. I promise you I am going to start working on it, so you can expect a lot more updates and a lot more kind of adventurous things happening. But thanks again for sticking around. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed recently. I hope you enjoy the ride. But until next time, take care everyone. I'll see you soon.